So I want to talk a little bit about a concept that is probably one of the most profound ideas that I have worked with over my career. Every time we use it in a program and then we do evaluations at the end, about 50% of all people will say this was the most useful thing that came out of this event. And it's probably one of the things I've spent the most time trying to pass on to my family, to my clients, to anybody I can find. So with that major introduction, let me just show you one simple idea. So watch carefully what's happening here. What is causing this pen to fall? Now people will answer that question in two ways. Usually half people will say gravity, and the other half will say you're dropping it. And which of those two is correct? They're both true, right? There is gravity and I'm also dropping it. But the much more interesting question to ask is which of those two reasons is the more useful? When you ask that question, the answer, of course, is you're dropping it. And why is that the more useful answer? It's more useful because if what's causing this pen to drop is that I'm letting it go, then the possibility is that I can hold on to it and it won't fall. Whereas if we say that the reason that this pen is falling is because of gravity, and if that's the only reason that I believe that the pen is falling, then I'm going to have to go into some anti-gravity world for the pen not to fall. And of course, I have no control over some anti-gravity world. So that may sound like a very simple idea, right? The difference between saying it's gravity or you're dropping it. But it's the difference between feeling that I am in control and can do something with something, or that I'm out of control and waiting for some other force to act in order for something that is happening to stop happening. And that difference we call seeing the world from an above or below the line perspective. An above the line perspective is where you take responsibility and are able to say that whatever happens, whatever is happening, I always have the ability to responsibility to that situation. So if this pen is falling and I am causing it to drop, then I have the ability to respond to this situation, which is called the pen falling, by holding on to it. And that would be true for all sorts of other things in life, okay? If I am arriving late at a meeting, and I consider that the reason I'm late at that meeting is because I left late given the traffic, then tomorrow I can choose to leave earlier. But if I think that the reason I'm late for the meeting is because the traffic was bad, then the traffic being bad is like gravity. It's something that is outside of my control, and I would have to wait for all the cars not to be on the road for me to be on time. So again, there's a situation where by taking responsibility and thinking about it from the perspective of my ability to respond given traffic or given the pen falling, I'm suddenly in the driver's seat and I can do something about it. So we call that above the line. The much more common response that everyone has is to think below the line. And below the line is to go, I blame something else. So I blame the traffic. Or maybe I go into justification. Oh, you can never guarantee what time you arrive on a city like this because you never know what the traffic's going to be. So justification is kind of taking a specific situation, generalizing it by saying that it's like that for everybody, and then it just becomes a kind of more subtle form of blame. Or there might be denying, which is going, well, I wasn't late, right? Not really, because we didn't really agree what time the meeting was going to start anyway or whatever. And the fourth one is just to avoid it. So no, not to talk about it. I hope nobody notices, and just not to go into those conversations. Now, extraordinarily, there is such a strong desire in all of us to not be the one who is blamed for everything. That people sometimes to end up running whole parts of their life as if they are outside of control, whereas in fact they have far more choice and far more control. And the great thing about being above the line is it gives you choice, because you can always go into learning mode and go, okay, what could I do differently? How could I do this better next time? And that gives you choice. It's a really simple way of looking at the world, but I tell you, it is a lifetime's effort to get yourself into that frame of mind, because most of society is encouraging us to think the other way. So I encourage you to have a go. What is the below the line response to this? What is the above the line response? And the above the line response may be, given such and such, I did not anticipate, or I haven't found a way to do this better, or it always starts with an I. So have a go on that, and you'll find all sorts of results.